Next one.
Senator Vance, thank you so much for answering questions. I'm Stacey Jones with WCCB. I want to ask you, you're talking about hostility, so looking at how things are going in Springfield, Ohio right now, where you made claims that Haitian migrants were eating pets that have since been debunked, there are threats to the community, things are hostile. Knowing that America's so divided right now, would you change anything about the way you spread those now debunked false claims?
Well, what I have a responsibility to do in Springfield, Ohio, or any constituency in the state of Ohio, and if, God willing, the American people honor me by making me their next vice president, this will be my responsibility for the whole country. My responsibility is to listen to the people that I serve and not a biased media. And that's what I'll keep on doing in Springfield, Ohio, or anywhere else. One thing I've learned, and I really do think it's a difference between me and President Trump and the Kamala Harris campaign, is that we listen to people and we try to understand where they're coming from. And think about this, that I've learned this in just 2 years in the United States Senate. When there was a train disaster in East Palestine, Ohio, a lot of residents came to me and told me a lot of things. And some of those things it ended up being not totally true. They were based on rumors. But most of those things ended up being based on reality. And they were treated like enemies by the American media for daring to complain about what's going on in their country. And I'll tell you, I promise that as your next vice president, to the American people, to the people of this great state of North Carolina, I will always listen to you. Even when the media attacks me, I will listen to you about what's going on in your communities, because that's what a leader ought to do. And the final point that I'll make there is that everything that's going on in Springfield, Ohio, first of all, it comes from Kamala Harris's wide open borders. A small town in Ohio, 20,000 migrants into that community. It has stressed every local service. I wish the American media was half as interested in the stress on the local schools, the stress on the hospitals, and unaffordable housing as they are in debunking a story that comes from the residents of Springfield. And you know, the final point that I'll make on this is it is interesting to me to listen to the American media where they will descend on a town. I've had constituent inbound from inquiries from Springfield, Ohio, just in the last couple of weeks where, you know what they'll say to us? They'll say, hey, this thing's going on in our community. Could you help us investigate it? But please don't put my name out there publicly, because every person who speaks up has 15 news media reporters show up at their doorstep. And to all of the reporters who are listening to these words, whether they're national reporters or local reporters, did you ever think about listening to people instead of harassing them? Did you ever think about telling the truth instead of accepting the word? Did you ever think about listening to people speak their truth instead of listening to some bureaucrat and assuming that everything that they tell you is true? Journalism in this country is increasingly a disgrace. It's about investigating the truth, and unfortunately, far too few reporters do that today.